Hi, everyone. Hello and welcome to the Real Women, Real Purpose Talk Show live in the On Purpose Woman Global Community Facebook group. I'm Jenny Robertson, one of the hosts of the Real Women, Real Purpose Talk Show, and I'm also the founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and the founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman Online Magazine. Today, I'm here with financial advisor Adrienne Newberg. Sorry about that. I wrote down Newman. Why did I do that? And we'll be talking about how women can get real with their finances. So thank you for being here, Adrienne Newberg.
Well, thank you for having me, Jenny. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm so happy that you asked me.
Glad to have you. And I think it's a really important topic we're going to be talking about today. And for those of you who have not had the pleasure of knowing Adrienne, let me tell you more about her. Adrienne was a teacher who left teaching to raise her children. With her children grown, she realized her calling was to help others financially. She began with American Express Financial, went on to work with Ameriprise Financial, and then Waddell and Reed. She was very excited when she was offered an opportunity to join LPL Financial, which she knew to be an outstanding broker-dealer. So she is currently a financial advisor with LPL working as Newberg Financial, and she brings 22 years of experience to her work with clients. Adrienne has a BA from Roosevelt University and an MMS from Loyola University. She has her Series 7 license, her Series 66 license, and her Series 65 license. And for those of you who have no clue what that means, what it means is that she's done a lot of work to pass the General Securities Representative examination, the Uniform Combined State Law examination, and the Uniform Investment Advisor Law examination. And we'll talk a little bit later about why that matters. But I also want to say, Adrienne, that I have actually seen some women on Facebook talking about how they're studying for some of these exams, and they're not easy things to pass, it doesn't sound like.
No, they're not. I have to do it again. I'll just put it to you that way.
Okay.
I also have a life and health license as well in the state of Maryland.
Okay. So let's start with how you came to be a financial advisor, because as I mentioned in your bio, you'd been a teacher and you left teaching to raise your children. And once your children were grown, you realized that you had this calling to help others with their finances. So what had happened during that time to bring you to that place, and why did you feel it was a calling?
Well, I have always been interested in finance and economics, and I was doing my own thing, so to speak, my own portfolio, my own investments, and so on, and helping one other person. And then lots of people started coming to me and asking me, and I really felt that without the licenses, without the professional designations, it was just like somebody turning to somebody at the corner office and saying, "Oh, what do you think I should invest in?" And I really felt that that was a major disservice. Plus, I really enjoyed it so much. And the opportunity came along. Actually, it was my sister, and she said, "Oh, they're having this test and placement for financial people. Maybe you'll come with me. I don't want to go alone." Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, okay. And I went along. I took the test. And the next day they called my sister and said, "Please don't ever call us again." And they called me and said, "If you don't get here right away, we're sending a car and a net, and we're going to grab you and take you in." So,
wow.
Yeah, so that was kind of like the beginning that, and I felt good about it. And I went in, I kind of explored it, and they said, "You have all these tests to pass." And I put everything aside and spent 4 months, 3 or 4 months, just studying for those tests, taking them, passing them, and going forward with my life's work in a way, because I've been at it at least 22, if not more years.
Wow. So when they called you and said, "If you don't get in here, we're going to send a car and a net," that must have felt really validating, though, because you felt the calling, and now here was validation that you were on the right track.
And it was also validation because, interestingly, the test they gave was a psychological test. It wasn't a test about options trading. It wasn't puts and calls and all these arcane things. It was basically a psychological test to see if you were psychologically suited for this particular business. And deal with people in a way that was helpful. So I guess that was an okay way I passed it.
Yes, yes. Well, that's a great story. I love that. And so we're going to specifically talk about women today, since that's who our listeners are mostly. But let's talk about, you have a passion for helping women get real with their finances. So what have you seen that concerns you the most about how some women deal with their money?
Well, the thing that concerns me most with about how some women deal with their money is the fact they don't. They don't
Okay.
deal with it at all. And or they do it in a very superficial fashion. And coming from an education background, I understand that when we don't know things, we don't understand things. Sometimes as an adult, we don't like to ask questions. We don't like to seem like we're not so smart. Sometimes we're suspicious and we don't like to get involved with things because we think, oh my gosh, this person's going to call me 24/7 and bug me. And I just didn't, no, no, no. And sometimes it's really bottom line fear-based. It's kind of like uncomfortable. It's kind of like, do I really want to know the results of this x-ray? Do I really want to know what the dentist is going to tell me? Do I want to know what this person is going to say to me, like you're going to work till you're 300 years old and then drop over? So I think also finances haven't been a big part of the way women see themselves culturally, especially certain generations.
Mm-hmm.
Younger generations, I think, are more in tune with that. But women who have been raised in a different generational capacity, I think that they think it's almost unfeminine to, bring that subject up, or to say, what is it about my finances that I need to get real about? What is it that I need to know? And how do I go about doing it? Because I'm so busy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Is a reason for not doing things. Because I've done it, you've done me, we've all done it. It isn't like a mystery. That putting things off feels much better than doing them. But there's always that nagging thing in the back of their mind. I know I need to do this, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to approach it. I don't want to seem stupid. I know it's bad. And that's the other thing, fear.
And they start making up stories about it, right?
Right. I know it's bad.
Many information.
Yeah. And that's not necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are ways to work with things and ways to do things. And it's kind of like whatever you've got, let's work with it. And I work in a holistic fashion with people. I'm not here to tell you, what? You didn't do this, you didn't do that. First of all, to what avail? I mean, where does that get you? And it's such
shame is never a motivator for anyone.
No. And it's such a turnoff. I hate it when people do that to me. So, I think you have to be in a position of wanting to help, wanting to make things better. But you can't make things better if you don't know what better is and if you don't know what the situation is. So that's another reason I think taking an assessment, whether it's now or 5 minutes from now, is important. And we're at that time in the cycle of the calendar where a new year is coming, and COVID has really caused people to kind of take a step back and say, wait a minute, what's going on? Where am I? And it has caused a lot of havoc.
Yeah.
Those finances. Yeah. Men, couples, singles, solos. It is something that people need to deal with, and you just can't shove it under the bed and forget it there.
Yeah. So probably some of the same reasons that women specifically don't want to deal with finances is some of the same reasons that people don't want to do a will. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to, it's that important stuff, but it's not fun. It's just, but it's fun to you.
I think it's fun.
But if you're in that place of not knowing or thinking that and it's really bad. But I think you made some excellent points about how you work with people, let's say women specifically.
I love working
There
with
is no
women.
shaming. There is, you meet them where they are, it sounds like.
I love working with women. Why? Because actually I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I understand. I've been through many things in my life. I've been through loss of parents. I've been through being a POA, a power of attorney. I have to watch jargon. Uh, I've been through a divorce. I've been through managing and continue to manage my own financial portfolio. So I've seen a lot in the years I've been through a couple of crashes in the markets with my clients. I've been around the track a few times, and I really love to share my experience in a way with women that's collaborative. That's the other thing. I've had women come to me and say, my husband passed away and I'm with his stockbroker, and the stockbroker talks to me like I'm 3 years old and doesn't listen to me and doesn't, and that kind of interaction may have worked with her husband, but it doesn't work with her.
Yeah. But he probably didn't talk to her husband like that either.
Probably not.
Well, that brings me to the next question then. I've heard women even today, say things like, oh, my husband handles all that. I don't know. What would you say to women who are in that position, that they really they trust that everything
Yeah,
what I
say and what I think are two different things. I think like I'm going to get up here and shake you on your shoulders like that. Of course, they don't say that. But what I think is it's a cop-out. It's a cop-out.
Great point.
Back to what we said before about getting real. It's an excuse. It's a way to just say, hey, I don't need to know. Someone else will do it. Mm-hmm. Good when you're 10 or 11, but it's not so good if your husband were to pass away and you don't know where anything is. You don't even know if you've got any money. Mm-hmm. You have no clue if there's life insurance. You don't know what his HR position was at his job, or whether or not he threw all your money away in Las Vegas. I mean, not to say they did, but I'm just saying it's a form of ignorance. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as a former educator, it hurts my heart to think that there's that fear factor too. Maybe you don't want to know what's going on. Hey, you need to. And then there's the other piece of it. If I challenge him, or if I ask him, he's going to think I'm challenging him or quizzing him or chastising him, or, I almost feel like a marriage counselor sometimes when I sit down with a couple. But you have to know. And that's why having an advisor is really a good thing. Because mm-hmm. sort of the neutral in between party. I gather together the information and I insist on all the information. And then we get a chance to kind of look at it together in a neutral way, because I don't take sides. There's no taking sides here. There's only doing. And that's the thing. When you cop out on your life because things happen, people pass away, people divorce you, people, people don't always do what you think they're going to do. And by the way, if you're a partner with somebody, don't you think it's better to not be just a cheerleader, that you can be a participant, that you can be a helper, that you can be somebody that's rowing the boat with the oars in the same direction?
Or be a grown woman is really what it comes down to, doesn't it?
I'm going to go.
I was going to say the other thing, but I didn't,
I'm not going to say that. But, and again, it's cultural. Women have been taught to just sort of go, yes, dear, no, dear. Younger women, not so much. Mm-hmm. But some of the women who really are in need of understanding what's going on are the ones not. I think I mentioned to you before we went on, I had somebody call me and she said, I just realized that I probably should have gotten alimony and I didn't. I said, oh, when was the divorce? She said 20 years ago. I was like, really? she said, can you help me? And I've actually tried to get her in touch with some attorneys, but I can only imagine what they're going to say when they hear this story.
Yeah.
Waking up from a coma 20 years later when you're living in assisted living housing because the woman has no money and you're on food stamps, and the man she was with is a very wealthy person. It's a kind of sad story, don't you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. And it's one of our larger populations of people in poverty is women in their 70s and 80s, correct?
Yes, and that brings me to yet another thing to think about.
Mhm.
You know, women earn less than men. I don't think that's like a mysterious statement.
That percentage has never changed in like 30 years, I don't think.
Right. So when you have, and this is something I encourage people to do, if you have a 401k or a 403b, and those, by the way, are just IRS designations because I set up 401ks, so I know a little bit about them. Also set up pension plans, so I know a little bit about them too. When you have the opportunity to do a 401k, you're earning less. So a lot of times women are putting less in, or you have a 401k and you don't participate because I don't know what to put in, call your HR person. Someone might be managing that 401k, or get an advisor to help you look at what it is you can do so that you use that opportunity. Some employers match. That means if you put in so much, they put in so much. Some don't. And today with the virus situation, a lot of them are backing off. They're not doing that. So what can you do? You can open a Roth IRA. You can open your own IRA. Are you a small businesswoman? Hey, get a SEP, get a solo K, get an IRA, get something, because if you're talking about retiring, when you retire, you may be talking about living off that money for as many years as you work. Think about that.
Mhm.
30 years and you retire in your 60s and you live till your 90s, you're living off the same money for 30 years. And that's what puts people off. They go, oh, if you don't face it and you look at it when you're 60 something, it's a little late to get started in the game, So I encourage young people, or I encourage parents to encourage their children once they start working, do something, get something, and then put something in every month. I had a young person come to me and they said, well, we don't have any money. I said, do you go out on the weekends? Oh yeah. I said, do you go night clubbing or whatever? Oh yeah, I said, how about just saying 1 weekend a month is my weekend to stay home, take all the money I use to do that and put it in an investment in an IRA or some investment. What do you think? And some of them look at me like, what the heck are you talking about, lady? But there are ways. I mean, when people say, I don't have anything, it's not necessarily accurate. It's not necessarily correct.
Yeah, how many $7 lattes are you drinking a week, right? And that actually was going to be a question I was going to ask you is, do you think many women specifically don't start to put money in at a younger age because they don't think what's $10 going to do or what's $20 going to do? Even into a savings account, even just a basic somewhere that you're holding it. But when you start to educate them about what that money could be worth in 30 years.
Oh, it's amazing. Compound interest is something that's just amazing.
That gets you too excited, doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh.
I have a financial background too, so I find that kind of exciting myself. More corporate stuff, but I don't do the kind of stuff you do. But yeah, it can be mind blowing. It's actually mind blowing sometimes.
It is mind blowing,
yeah.
And time is one of the critical pieces in the equation. So you can put away a smaller amount of money over a long period of time and come out ahead as putting in huge sums of money over a shorter period of time. Mm-hmm. So that's the value of compounding your money. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, interest rates are very low. And Mr. Powell, who is our Fed chief, is going to keep them low for the very foreseeable future, maybe 5 years. We'll see. But one of the things I follow religiously. And I do recommend that people have an emergency fund. I really do, because their emergency fund is frequently their credit card. And that's something that we need to talk about for the younger folks, is debt, but I'll get to that in a minute. So you need to have a cash reserve, and that cash reserve is sacred, really. And then you need to also have investments. So you're like a CEO of your own fortunes. And it's exciting because you can do things. We live in a society where, as a woman, you can own things, you can have things, it's yours. IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account, and that's yours and nobody else's. So I think it's great. I think women need to begin to take advantage of those things. So interest rates are low and you're not going to get any growth from them. But yeah, you do need a cash reserve. Sure you do. That's important. Emergencies happen. Even the young people, emergencies happen.
And what's the rule of thumb about that? I know it used to be so many months of expenses, right? Of your just your basic expenses.
It depends. If you're just a young person, 4 months, 6 months. If you're a person with a mortgage and kids and a lot of bills, maybe you need 8 months or 10 months, So it really, you have to be thoughtful about it. That said, your money in cash isn't going nowhere. It's just your emergency money.
Yeah.
I'm going way back to the days when I remember there was, and I tell this to younger ones and they don't believe me, when you could get 6, 7, 10, 15% on your money. They go, whoa. I said, yes, but inflation was 10, 15, 18%. So it wasn't like you were sort of beating the game either. But those days are not here, and I don't foresee them being here for a very long time. And then too, as a young person, you may want to save for a house. You may want to, save for a car because your car is old. But the debt problem is serious in this country, and we don't talk a little, about it, because whether it's student loan debt or credit card debt or home debt, I mean, you have to pay a mortgage. That is debt. Mm-hmm. We don't talk about that. So that is part of what I look at when I look at things holistically. There's that debt component. Do you want to go into retirement with debt? It's a tough thing to do because that paycheck is not coming through your bank account every month, and yet your debt is still there. So that's why I encourage people to get into this game early. Get in as soon as you can, because you don't want those kind of, surprises when they're not really surprises. They're coming. Right. You just don't know how to deal with them. So I think that's also a part of it. And then we haven't even talked about life insurance or long-term care insurance and all the insurances and health insurance, which I do not do. But I do take that into consideration, because when people retire, the majority of their expenses start to be associated with health. As people get older, they need more medications. They have things, it's like a car, things start to rust. And the cost of medications goes up. And so does, taking care of problems. And those are things that we can, or you can, or someone should look at before that time comes. Because, again, as you said, women are the ones who bear the brunt. And why? Because women are taught not to be selfish. Women are taught to be the caretakers. We're the ones that leave the workforce to take care of our children. We're the ones that leave the workforce to take care of our moms who are ill, or our grandmoms who are ill. We're the ones that do that heavy lifting. And we do it from a loving heart. We do it from compassion and care. But when you retire, that compassionate care frequently isn't available to you.
True.
And that's why I'm passionate about women doing a little of both, because it's so easy to get lost in the taking care piece of things. And do it so well. And we're so brilliant at it. And we're so thoughtful and we're so good. But sometimes we need to be selfish a little bit. I know that's such a bad word, but we need to be selfish with
I'm a fan of that myself. Yeah.
we
We
do.
have to be, because we also have put a really negative spin on the word itself,
Yes.
and all that really means is taking care of self, and I think a lot of us of a certain age have learned that over the years. But if our young women can learn anything, I think that's the first thing, because that will then lead them to all the things you're talking about. If they can start to put themselves first in a number of ways, that they look out for themselves, because then they'll have the wherewithal to work with someone like you and to plan for their future.
Right. And you can always do it. It's never, my theory is it's never too late to begin.
Yeah.
It's never too late to start. It's only too late when you never do it. Then
Right.
really it's too late because you've never done anything. So sometimes people have resources they don't, know they have, both intellectually and financially and socially.
Mhm.
And they're just using all their resources for others and not tapping into some of those resources for themselves. And
Yeah.
that's what I like to encourage women to do.
Well, you've really made so many great points. Is there anything that you haven't touched on about how women can be, I want to say, can be more proactive with their finances instead of having to like react later? Is there anything that you haven't said that you think is important?
Well, I do. I think financial planning is extremely important. I think taking an educational perspective is very important too. And that's the educational piece I talk about. So I have a website. I'm proud of my website because I put a lot of time and energy into that website. In fact, I'm remodeling it right now. And on it, I put all sorts of pieces for women, for young people, interactive pieces. It's free. It's free. And that's the other thing that I have to say about being proactive. A lot of times people go, I don't know, having an advisor, that's going to cost me money. How much are they going to charge me? Are they going to cheat me? And I think they're valid questions. I do. So my suggestion is to be proactive. Go on the websites that tell you about advisors, that what their record is, how long they've been in the business. Go on, call, take a half an hour of their time. I don't charge for getting to know somebody to see A, if they want to work with me, and B, if I want to work with them, by the way. So be proactive, start looking around, call your HR person. What's your 401k? What's your 403b? Do you have a pension? What's your insurance like? By the way, disability insurance is a very big issue, especially for sole proprietors. A little proactive in that area too, because if you are your sole proprietorship and something happens to you and you're disabled, not dead, disabled, who runs your business? Can you run your business? Does your cash flow stop because you can't move an arm? Or I think a good example of that is that story about the baker who was on TV and he hurt his arm in an accident in his home. And now he can't bake because he needs two hands to work. So he seems to be a well-to-do person, and I would guess he's got advisors who've been helping him, and I guess he has his own disability plan. But look into that. Can you bump it up? Can you get your own disability? Do you have disability at work? Do you have life insurance at work? Can you get extra life insurance at work? Because I have set these up, and employers today, some of them don't do it.
Mhm.
So, what's best for you? And then, of course, the ultimate is long-term care. Be proactive. Everything is online today. You can look it up. The problem is sometimes you just can't make sense of it. So, I understand that, but there's so much today to be proactive with that it's overwhelming, I think, for people. Overwhelming. So I do very much encourage people to get into it and to understand that it's not like, oh, I can't figure this out, or it's not a womanly thing to do. Yeah, it's a human thing to do. And we live in a capitalist society. Hello. You get Social Security, and if you think you can live on that alone, I want to know your recipe, because I'm going to write a book with you on that.
Yeah.
It's just impossible. There's just not enough. And by the way, when to take Social Security and how to take Social Security,
great point,
is a very a financial question that you need to delve into before you do it. So once you do it, it's pretty irrevocable. Same for pensions. Once you take your pension and you agree to it, it's irrevocable. So you need to do a little bit of planning, a little bit of forethought before you turn to the person in the next cubicle or online or on the phone and say, what did you do, Mary? Oh, okay, I think I'll do that. Of course, Mary just inherited $1 million, and then it's irrelevant to her. And that is another thing in inheritance. There's new rules about inheritance today and how you have to take that money if it's qualified money, meaning in an IRA. So there are new IRS rules. So, financial advisors are here to help you. They're not here to chastise you and tell you what a bad girl you've been. They're here to be your partner and to work with you.
It sounds like what you do in a very simplified way, I'm going to put this, is you kind of hold people's hands, hold women's hands, and you take them through some questions that they haven't even thought to ask. Like, I know when I left, I was vested in one pension plan, and, a letter showed up from the IRS that they'd tracked me down because the company's changed hands 16 times. Yeah. And, but they found me through the IRS, and it's like, I'd forgotten I even had that. It's not very much money a month, but it's money,
It's your money.
And so I think there's just things that we can forget that we have. And one thing I'd like to touch on real quick before we wrap it up is, are there specific things that women should be looking at regarding their finances in different stages of their life? Like at this point, you're out of college, you've got your first job, or now you're raising children, or now you're maybe getting ready to retire, or maybe you're 75, 80 years old. Is there anything to do at that point?
There always is something to do. There definitely is. When you start out investing as soon as you have income coming in. And by the way, there are rules where if you're a stay-at-home lady and your husband's still working, he can open an IRA for you and contribute to it. So you even continue to put money away even though you're not in the workforce. So that's something to keep in mind. As time goes on, you may find that you have more and more bills. You have children to take care of. You might want to look into, do I put money away for their college? Do I do a 529 plan? Because as we get older along the way, things happen. Get yourself situated with your life insurance or your long-term care, whatever it is, before you can't get it because you have some horrifying pre-existing condition. You can't call the life insurance people from the emergency room and say, I got 5 minutes, can I please have a policy? Mm-hmm. I'm going to say no to you. They are. So those are things that you need to look at. In your middle years, you need to look at, how am I saving? What are my goals? How much money do I need in retirement to continue my lifestyle? Is my lifestyle going to be more? Is it going to be less? And then as you get near retirement, you need to consider not only your life insurance, but you need to consider your health insurance. Some companies, that's it, end of story. So you need Medicare. You need to do a supplemental. You need to cover yourself. You need drug coverage. How does that work? How much money am I going to need to put aside? What is my Social Security going to be? Can I wait on it, or should I take it right now? Do I need it, or can I postpone it? So that those are questions as you get along the timeline. And then I'm leaving my job. My job left me. What do I do with my 403B? What do I do with my 401k? Do I leave it there? I love your story, Jenny, because people who leave it there, the company gets bought and sold 50 different times. And guess what happens? Poof, where is it? Who's got it? Who's managing it? I don't know. Then you need to be Sherlock Holmes to find it, to even remember it. Mm-hmm. I tell people, yeah, you can leave it there, but I don't think you want to do that. So yeah, so there's ways to do that that do not cost you in taxes, where you can move the money from your 401k, 403b into an IRA and manage it. People get scared. They go, well, I don't know what. That's what your advisor is there for, to help you negotiate that and to do the paperwork appropriately. So that's your retirement money. And then should you wait a couple of years before you retire? I had a client, we went through planning. I said to him, can you bear another couple of years? He hated his job. He said, well, all right. Now he's okay, because once the kids leave the house, guess what? You can put more money away because now you're not paying for a whole lot of things. Although in this day and age, kids are moving back in the house.
I know, isn't that true? Yeah.
So is that going to be an extra drain on your finances? Do you need to reposition things? People aren't taking vacations because where are you going to go? And you can't go anywhere anyway. So where are you repositioning the money? Did you put money aside for that? So there's a lot of things all throughout your life that you need to look at, because nothing is static. There's no, you can't say, I love it when people say I'm all set, which is their catchphrase for leave me alone. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. You're never all set. Wouldn't that be nice? I guess if you're Midas and you've got the storehouse full of gold, and even gold goes up and down every day, because I know that too, tied to inflation. But hey, nothing's all set. I'm fine. You know, you may be able to take a little more risk with your portfolio when you're younger, and then maybe not so much when you get older. So I do a risk tolerance every year with my clients. What is it? I ask them a question. If your stuff went down X amount, how upset would you be? With my 30-year-olds, they go, I don't care, I'm working. You know.
We'll come back. I've got plenty of time.
Yeah. With the 60-year-olds, it's kind of like, what?
And how many people are working well past because of the last big crash that we had? So all the days were wiped out. Yeah.
They are. And the problem, of course, with that is that when that happens, people get left behind because, and I've sat in on these meetings, sadly, they don't want to pay for the older person because the health insurance is so much more expensive on them. So there is ageism out there. And I'm not saying that all companies do it, because they don't. But I am saying that it's something when we talk about leaving, people say, well, I'm not going to leave my, I said, wait a minute, is the job going to leave you, or are you going to leave the job? We have to be real about this. Just have to be real about this.
Great. Adrienne, you've given us so much great information today, and thank you so much for your words of wisdom. So tell everybody the website link, the name, so they can go get all that wonderful free information that you've provided on the website. You say it's interactive. People can.
I've got some interactive pieces. I've got a great shot once it gets up and going, because I'm redoing the whole thing of Baltimore, coming in like you're on a plane. So I'm really working it, but
Wonderful.
uh, it's easy. It's Newberg Financial, Newberg,
.com.
newbergfinancial.com. Yes.
And can people contact you from the website? Is there another way that they could also get in touch with you?
It's all over the website to
Okay.
contact me,
Okay.
but I'm happy to give you my cell phone number. I give my cell phone number out to all my clients. You'd be surprised. Sometimes they get scared and upset and they'll call me. And I don't recommend it, but I'm here for them. And
That'd be reassuring to them, though. Yeah.
yeah, I think it helps people to know there's actually somebody on the other end who's going to, be helpful to them and take care of them. Especially women taking care of, because guess what? They're busy taking care of everybody. They deserve
Right.
them taken care of.
Right. And I think you've demonstrated during our talk today how you would support women in doing that, because they don't want to be talked down to. They don't want to be made to feel small or just mansplained.
Yes. and as a woman, I've experienced a lot of the things already that they've experienced. So there's a sense of empathy there.
Yes.
I'm not throwing men under the bus by no means, but I am saying that this is an area that's very important. And I think that sometimes getting that other perspective, I've talked many a person off the ledge when things have gone bad. And I've said, I'm looking to the future. I think you need to hang on. Sometimes it's been a pretty good thing that people have.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. And that's newbergfinancial.com. Go over there, check out all the free resources and information that Adrienne has provided for you.
My cell phone, 410-409-5284.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to thank all of you who are watching this interview today and joining the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show live in the On Purpose Woman Global Community Facebook group. And for a list of the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show topics, you can go to onpurposewomanmagazine.com and check out the current issue. It'll have a couple of pages there with all of our interviews. We do have 3 more interviews coming up this month, so go check out those dates. And if you love this interview and want to share it with your friends, you'll find it on our YouTube channel over the next 48 hours. So go on over to YouTube, put in the search On Purpose Woman Global Community, and our channel will pop up. Sign up for notifications. Please subscribe. We need some more subscribers over there. We're a new junior channel, and we really want to get this out to more people. There are already more than 30 inspiring, informative, and fun shows for you to watch on that channel. And again, we've got some more interviews this month, and on purposewomanmagazine.com, you can find those and just read the magazine. It's all kinds of resources, ideas, information for your mind, your body, your spirit, and your business. I'm Jenny Robertson signing off here with Adrienne Newberg. Thank you again for watching. Bye now.